Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavai Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahari. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We will share the screen. First topic. Very good. We should be looking at first topic. We have a publisher's desk from the year 2009. We are whom we meet. The company we keep affects our attitudes, speech, and actions as profoundly as the foods we eat. We are all familiar with the phrase, we are what we eat. The Hindu viewpoint on this is that the different types of food we consume have a significant influence on our state of mind and emotions. Oh, question to you, see if you're alert. What are the three types of food and how do they affect us? For example, eating meat, which is known to be a tamasic food, opens the door to lower consciousness and makes it harder to stay out of the states of fear, anger, jealousy, and the remorseful emotions that follow. Consuming too many spicy foods and stimulants or rajasic foods can overexcite our physical and intellectual activity. On the other hand, pure or sattvic foods such as fresh fruits and vegetables that grow above the ground foster our intuitive or soul nature. For maximum spiritual progress, it is best to eat plenty of sattvic foods, to be moderate in the intake of rajasic foods, and to avoid tamasic foods. Chandogya Upanishad teaches, when the food is pure, mind becomes pure. When the mind becomes pure, memory becomes firm. And when a man is in possession of a firm memory, all the bonds which tie him down to the world are loosened. Beautiful verse. Today I want to expand the idea that we are what we eat by pointing out that our companions are an equally important influence on our state of mind and emotions. Hence the title, We Are Whom We Meet. Tirukural, chapter 46, is devoted to avoidance of base company, has 10 insightful verses describing how powerfully we are influenced by the company we keep. Here are two of the verses. As water changes according to the soil through which it flows, so a man assimilates the character of his associates. That's one of my favorite verses. So subtle. Water flowing through soil takes on the qualities of the soil. So that's just like a person interacting with people. Even perfect men possessing the mind's full goodness are fortified by pious fellowship. Fortified. Good choice there. Our actions, speech, state of consciousness, and attitudes toward life are all strongly influenced by our companions, just as they are by the food we eat. Therefore, it is important to surround oneself with good religious, higher consciousness people. Every few months I receive an email from someone saying that he or she used to perform sadhana, but stopped some time ago, and now wants to get started again. The advice I give always includes attending a weekly satsang with others who are also performing sadhana. It can be difficult to sustain sadhana if you are striving alone. We need the companionship of others on the path to keep our sadhana strong, especially during difficult times in life. So we're fortunate in our digital age. We now have digital satsang thanks to Zoom video communications, makes it very cost effective. And we can all gather, those of us who are like-minded, no matter what country we are in around the world, and have satsang every week. So it's a wonderful boon to come out of the trying times of the COVID-19 lockdowns. As Gurudeva often said, the group helps the individual and the individual helps the group. So what did Gurudeva mean by that? The group helps the individual and the individual helps the group. So what he meant was, when you have a group of people, they all have their own patterns in life. Some are doing well when others are doing poorly, and then those who are doing poorly are doing well when the others who are doing well are doing poorly now. So we don't all go up and down at the same time. We have different cycles, different timings in our lives. And when there's a group, there are always some of us who are upbeat, strong in their sadhana, and at that point in time, they give inspiration to those who are not upbeat. And then the roles switch back and forth among the group. So there's always someone up and always someone down, and they're helping each other in that way. Of course, we must choose wisely, as companions can also influence us negatively. Here's a story to illustrate. A teenage boy starting his first year at high school made new friends who had a habit of swearing. The boy never swore previously, but because he spent significant time with his new friends, he soon adopted their crude language. The water that flows through the soil. One of the times in life when religious companions are extremely important is during the university years, especially for students living away from home. The most obvious negative influence comes from fellow students who are more interested in partying than studying. A less visible but equally erosive influence comes from anti-religious instructors who propound atheism or existentialism and may even overly demean Hinduism. Such encounters can instill negative habits and bring about loss of faith. How to find suitable religious companionship? Universities are not necessarily close to satsang groups that could be attended regularly. For students whose university is close to a temple, we suggest visiting it weekly. If the temple is too far for a weekly visit, at least make an effort to attend during major festivals. Joining a Hindu students group offers prime opportunities for interacting with peers who are spiritually inclined. There is no student group at your school, but there are a good number of Hindu students at the university. Consider founding a branch of an established Hindu students group on your campus. Other possibilities are to participate in an Indian cultural group, a yoga class, or a meditation program. Despite our best intentions to maintain pure companions, sometimes it can be necessary to interact at length with people who are strongly materialistic or even hedonistic. The challenge is to do so without letting their emotions penetrate and influence our own. If this does happen, you will experience their moods and emotions and may interpret them as your own. If you can see the subtle energies of such an exchange, You would know that you have absorbed into your aura the dark reds, muddy browns, and greens from another person's aura. You simply did not have enough prana in your aura to ward off the intrusion. Such thought forms and undesirable colors from others' auras are often called psychic influences. The aura is a luminous, colorful field of subtle or astral energy radiating within and around the human body. The colors of the aura change constantly according to the ebb and flow of your state of consciousness, thoughts, moods, and emotions. Fortunately, there are yogic exercises you can employ to vitalize your aura. Here is one such exercise from Gurudeva. Sit quietly, breathe deeply, and mentally get in touch with your pranic body, first by visualizing it and secondly by feeling it. The pranic body of most people extends out from the physical body about 1 or 2 inches, depending on the level of vitality. Of course, the pranic body also completely permeates the entire physical body. As you sit quietly, breathing deeply and slowly, become intimately aware of the vitality, the prana running through the physical body. As you breathe in, feel the vitality of your body. Feel the magnetic energy within it. Feel its life. So we have Gurudeva's statement. Get in touch with your pranic body first by visualizing it and secondly by feeling it. So this is an important idea that you may not be familiar with. First of all, to make sure you realize there is a difference. Visualize is different than actually experiencing or feeling or seeing it. For example, when it comes to the power in the spine, Gurudeva often says, visualize a yellow tube filled with energy. So the visualization is a mental creation in your mind. It's not the actual experience of the energy that's there. But the interesting point is that visualizing it can help you experience it. So they're different, but one naturally leads into the other. So first we visualize something, and then that can lead into experiencing it as a feeling, as something we're seeing, as something we're hearing. Two-step process. Then as you breathe out mentally and through feeling, release some of this vitality, this prana, this life force, and send it out into your aura. Keep sending it out on the out-breath to the aura's outer edges all around your body, from your head to your feet. The outer edge of the human aura is about 3 or 4 feet away from the physical body. After you have charged your aura with vital prana in this way, about 9 times, 9 breaths, you should begin to feel a magnetic shell being built around the outer edge of your aura. You will feel very secure and content as you sit within your own aura, which is charged with prana from your own pranic body. You are protected from all kinds of psychic influences, seen and unseen. So again, this practice is particularly helpful if you're interacting with people on a regular basis and you've come to the conclusion that your aura is picking up lower-minded stuff from theirs. So this is a way of protecting yourself in that situation. If you're around high-minded people, you don't have to be protected. Despite our best efforts to keep our aura strong and not take on the worldly emotions of others, some of their thoughts and emotions can end up in our aura and influence us by lowering our consciousness and depressing our mood. What can be done? These darker colors can be changed to lighter colors and hence a more positive mood by the blessings we receive from the deity and devas when we go to the temple or home shrine. They can also be changed by the practice of meditation. The practice of regularly purifying our aura by temple attendance and meditation keeps our consciousness higher and our state of mind happier. Very important time to purify the aura is when we return home from being out in the world. I jumped ahead too quickly there. It says you can bathe when you come home and then spend time in the shrine room, and that helps get any lower-mindedness out of the aura. This slide is attending temple pujas can be an even more powerful way of purifying the aura. An aspect of puja in the temple that is not widely understood is how it relates to the flow of prana. Except for the concluding arati, puja is a process of giving prana to the deity. This is done through offering cut fruit, cooked food, water, fragrant flowers, and milk. Then, during the final arati, the deity and his helpers or devas reflect back this prana into the aura of each devotee, purifying it of subconscious congestions. The devotee so blessed leaves the temple feeling uplifted and relieved of mental conditions he had been burdened by. So this idea of purification of the mind is called Chitta Shuddhi. Chitta is mind, Shuddhi is purification. Beautiful quote we'll read next. It's a simple way of explaining the benefit. That idea of tools rather than rules. Hinduism needs to be presented as tools to help us do better in life rather than a set of rules to restrict our enjoyment of life. So particularly for teenagers who don't like to be restricted. So Chitta Shuddhi, we go to the temple to purify the mind. Very simple idea. Hindus are very aware of the need to bathe regularly, particularly in hot countries. So we do that. We wear clean clothes, but how often do we bathe the mind? Get rid of any lower-minded stuff we've picked up from others or even generated ourselves. So going to the temple is a very powerful way to give your mind a bath, Chitta Shuddhi. Beautiful statement here from Encyclopedia of Hinduism. Shuddha means purification. Chitta is mind. Purification of the mind, Chitta Shuddhi, may be called the essence of all spiritual endeavors. I really like that. The essence of all spiritual endeavors. Why we're doing all these different kinds of practices? Well, they all help purify the mind, Chitta Shuddhi. So, why does the mind need to be purified in the first place? Here's a final word of advice from Gurudeva on the importance of spiritual companionship. To sustain Shaucha purity, it is important to surround oneself with good divinic company, to have the discrimination to know one type of person from another. Too many foolish, sensitive souls, thinking their spirituality could lift a soul from the world of darkness, have walked in where even the Mahadevas do not tread, and the Devas fear to tread, only to find themselves caught in that very world through the deceit and conniving of the cleverly cunning. Nicely written. Let's not be foolish. Let's discriminate between higher consciousness and lower consciousness. Higher consciousness people should surround themselves with higher consciousness people to fulfill Shaucha. So that's how we maintain purity. And the final quote from the Tirukural. Purity of mind and purity of conduct, these two depend upon the purity of a man's companions. Oh, second topic. We have the author today, Palak Malik, of our 2019 article, Let's Hear from India's Youth. So she's the one who collected up all the interviews and edited them and sent them in to us. Big job, but very useful. to read. He gives us a sense of what's in the minds of this age group in India at that point in time. So this is her introduction and conclusion, and she was surprised by her own conclusion. When Hinduism Today asked me to interview a sampling of Indian youth about their religious views and practices, my first reaction was to somehow escape the situation entirely. India's political environment is so intertwined with religion that to engage with others on the topic is to risk being stereotyped. Unfortunately true. Hinduism Today suggested that we focus on the personal religious lives of individuals and not the Indian politics of religion. I wondered how to make that distinction. Where I come from, the lines are very blurry. I struggled to wrap my head around this idea of my talking to youth about their ideas and understandings of Hinduism. Did I even want to do it? Secretly, yes, because I struggle with my own ideas of religion on a daily basis, and I'd like to know what my peers think. Rarely do you get a chance to delve deeper into the beliefs of others. And how does one tap the pulse of youth? Who should I start with? How could I find the right sample to represent the views of the whole of India's young adults? Frankly, a full and accurate representation is simply not possible and is not what I was able to assemble. With the help of my father, Rajiv Malik, is our former India correspondent, I developed a questionnaire that I hoped would inspire respondents to reflect on their life and personal evolution with respect to matters of faith. The next challenge was to identify our survey range. My father suggested we seek respondents from diverse fields, jatis, communities, and different Indian states. For practicality and my personal comfort, I favored a smaller scope, so we agreed to limit the survey to metropolitan youth. Still, the hope was to encompass the entire spectrum from utter non-belief to unquestioning devotion. After much discussion, we settled on a set of questions for our online questionnaire. The first segment focused on personal religious beliefs with emphasis on the environment where one grew up. We designed this set of questions around temple visits, festival celebrations, family pilgrimages, and daily rituals. We wanted to evoke memories of childhood in relation to religious practices and hopefully evoke thoughtful answers. So that's from the introduction. This is from the conclusion. Speaking for myself and most urban youth I've met, we tend to think of ourselves as liberals and secular, and are fairly open in stating that we don't practice our religion that much. But our simple study here made me scratch below the surface, where I found threads of Hinduism interwoven in our everyday lives and existence. Without doubt, youth are struggling to reconcile private and public life in regards to religious expression. Many, it seems, are living in two conflicted realities. When we say a form of salutation to please our parents or attend festivals and events for the sake of appearances, we are forming separate identities for our family from who we are to ourselves. At the same time, we feel rooted or grounded in our childhood experiences of Hindu traditions. There is a great intergenerational gap wherein a rational questioning of the ritualistic aspects of faith is occurring, and there seems to be a gradual decrease in ritual practice between generations, partially because youth are not receiving satisfying answers to their questions. The moment you start preaching one religion is better than another, the problems begin. But judging from those surveyed here, youth are open to spiritual experiences regardless of religious structure. Many have taken up yoga and meditation and swear by the benefits. All share the belief in a general sense of goodness or right and wrong. Today we are living in the age of information, and with multiple sources of knowledge about our practices, with multiple answers, many hand-me-down guidelines, all of which are being questioned. This is leading to meaningful discussions and debates, bringing new thoughts and ideas. The more responses we receive from youth on our questionnaire, the more I realize that the roots of Hinduism go deeper than I imagined. While at times overt practices like puja and arti or temple visits might feel forced upon us by our parents, All the while, the subtle nuances of these experiences, which may have gone unnoticed, have become a major part of our lives and identities. Even if you do not believe in the ideas of a Hindu god or a religious practice, chances are that if you were born a Hindu, you will remain a Hindu in some capacity. Even if you don't get married according to Hindu traditions, your cousins will, and who would miss a great Indian wedding? Whether you live in India or abroad, your belonging to a Hindu household will afford you a melodramatic call from Ma asking you to come home for Diwali. Because you grew up on a high pedigree of Bollywood movies and Indian advertisements, your heart will lead you home even if your head doesn't agree. And at the end of the day, we all have an emotional side to balance out our logical decisions and justifications. So even if you hate the family drama, you do love your family. So we will all sit in the puja because it makes our parents happy. In that sense, despite our questioning and our challenges to traditions, it really is our religion that keeps the family and society together. Very interesting conclusion. Surprised even her. That's why I thought it was good that she didn't realize she did not realize the great extent to which her everyday actions were influenced by her Hindu values. That's what she ended up realizing, that it was part and parcel of who she was. Thank you very much. Oh.